Three, two, one. Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined with Niall again to post-fight review for the Chris Billam-Smith stoppage victory over MATEUSZ Masternak. Niall, thank you for joining me once again, mate. How are we? And what did you make of that? Obviously, I know we were in, I've seen it off camera. Everyone, we were both a bit surprised, and I think even I'd imagine the majority of the arena were surprised at how the fight actually stops.
Yeah, it was a bizarre one, a bizarre ending, and I think the kind of overall message of the night is Chris Billum Smith has got away with one there. He was losing that fight quite comfortably in a lot of people's eyes, and I just can't believe how bad he looked from the start. He had no kind of answer for anything Masternak was throwing on him, and Masternak fought well. Don't get me wrong, he looked good, he looked lively on his feet. But he was Masternak himself was so basic. It was the left jab, right hand all night, and Chris Smith couldn't do anything about it. But I suppose a win's a win, and he invested to the body, and it's paid off for him. So yeah, he's on to the next one. But yeah, he got lucky there for me.
I, I do have to agree. I had Masternak winning and winning fairly comfortably. Obviously, it remains to be seen if it had gone the distance, whether Chris Smith would have got the decision or not. The commentator themselves said it. He's done it the hard way again. He seems to do everything the hard way. Um, what's next for Chris Smith? There's some big sort of domestic fights. You've got the Cody rematch. You've got Isaac Chamberlain sat there ringside, who will be eager for that fight. And then obviously you've got the elite world level names. The Gulamarian fight was supposed to happen. It didn't. Obviously, Jai Opetaia is going to be rematching Brady, so that's sort of tied up. Obviously after the Ellis Zorro fight. So what do you see next for Chris Smith?
For me, to be honest, I'd like to see the React Power rematch. I think React Power's earned that now to get a shot at a world title, and there's the history there, and it's a big domestic clash that they could do and say get the stadium in Bournemouth again, or even maybe Selhurst Park, with React Power being a big Palace fan. So I think that does good numbers in the UK, and there's the history there. And yeah, I think so. That's number one for me as to what's next. But as you mentioned, Gillamarian as well, which is another good fight if he's looking to unify. That'd be a good avenue to go down, and it'd be a more favourable option than say Joy Opataya, especially going on tonight's performance from Billum Smith. But if I had to pick, I'd say Richard Riakporhe has definitely deserved it, and give Billum Smith now a chance as the champion to avenge the loss from all those years ago. Lawrence Okoli, no disrespect, but nobody's queuing up to see that rematch after the last time. It was one of the worst world title fights I think I've ever seen. So I wouldn't be kind of eager to see that again. But if Okoli got another chance, I couldn't really complain. But yeah, React Power for me next would make the most sense, I think.
I think Billam Smith, would it be harsh to say one-dimensional? I think he's got a very limited skill set, and he tends to do, like as I say, does it the hard way, and in grueling. I know obviously it got stopped, with Masternak retiring, but again, took a lot of damage, a lot of firefighting. Based off tonight's performance, how do you think Billam Smith fares against the other world champions in the division? So, you likes of Jai Pataya and Gulamarian.
Yeah, as you mentioned, he is very kind of one-dimensional without being too disrespectful. Like we knew he was quite basic. He's always been fundamentally kind of solid, but tonight he was just so basic. No head movement, no plan B. Just oh yeah, and he had no answer for a quite a basic Masternak performance in itself. So yeah, the other champions would be kind of rubbing their hands together watching that, especially Joy Opataya. Not it's no shame in it. Joy Opataya is the best cruiserweight in the world, and he beats everybody. But even Riakporhe, as I mentioned, would really fancy his chances of beating Billum Smith again, and Gil and yeah, Isaac Chamberlain, who was there at ringside. I know he has a European title fight kind of mandated next against the champion Cieslak, but if we were going on tonight's performance, there's a lot of people that would have beaten Chris Billum Smith tonight. most kind of elite cruiserweights and top level cruiserweights would have beat Billum Smith tonight for me on that performance. But again, on a different night, Billum Smith, he could put in a better performance the next time, especially, if it's a domestic grudge match against React or even a Coley, I'd say, is sitting at home watching that thinking, why couldn't he have been that bad against me and in the vitality? But yeah, who knows what'll happen next time. But on that performance, I'd pick Reakpor, Opataya, and Goulamarian to beat Billum Smith.
And then if you're on the back of that, if you're part of Chris Billum Smith team, what fight would you go for next? Obviously, I know sometimes the fights we want to see aren't always the best option for the fighter. Um, would you go for the big payday and try and get in with the likes of Jaya Pataya? Do you try and unify against Kulamarian? Or if your team now, especially on the back of his last two performances and more so tonight, what route do you take next?
Again, I'd say it's either the most favorable options are either unifying with Goulamarian if you want to kind of get that big unification, especially in the UK, or a Richard Riakporhe, who's much more favorable than Jai Opataya. Jai Opataya is a really dangerous fight for a lot of fighters, but particularly Chris Billum Smith, he is too kind of technically limited for or one dimensional for the likes of Jai Opataya. So if I'm his team, I'm probably saying get the Goulamarian rematch. If you can't get Reakpor, get unified with Goulamarian and yeah, get it in the UK. Get a big stadium show against either one of them in the UK for that one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of viable options. I know it's not the strongest the cruiserweight division's ever been, but I think domestically there's some big fights there. There's some big nights. I do tend to agree. Obviously, I'm a massive Jai Pataya fan. I think based off tonight, I think Opataya would bulldoze through Billum Smith. And again, that's no shame. It's just coming up against an elite level fighter. And if you've got no head movement, someone like Jai Pataya is gonna. We've seen what he did with Jordan Thompson, who was essentially stood in front of him, pot shotting and he obliterated him. So I think we'd see a similar style performance in terms of what someone like Jabtai would do. But I think yeah, the React fight is definitely a viable one. Obviously he had his comeback, which didn't last long at all in Wolverhampton. But it's been a bit of a weird sort of period of his career for Richard Riakporhe. But yeah, reacting on an interesting fight, an interesting stoppage or retirement. Excuse me. But yeah, let us know what you think, guys. Let us know if you think Billum Smith was up on the cards or if Masternak was sort of cruising his way to a late world title win. Let us know who you'd like to see in the comments below. Do you agree with Niall? Should it be React next? Do you think he'd have any chance at all against the likes of Charpataya? Like, comment, subscribe, and once again, Niall, thank you for joining me tonight.
Cheers, thanks.